search behavior or how people search has definitely changed. AI search is the first thing in 20 years or whatever to start taking market share away from Google. So it's creating a lot of problems as well as solutions. That was horrendous. You cannot just set it and forget it.
Welcome to the Founders Corner, brought to you by OneBridge Accounting. Here's your host, Eli Clark. Hey everyone, Eli Clark here, co-founder and CEO of OneBridge Accounting and host of the Founders Corner podcast. Today's guest is Scott Orth, the founder of Thrive Business Marketing. Scott, very excited to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Good to be here. Good to be here, yeah.
Awesome. Scott, you want to tell us a little about yourself, kind of your business and what brought you to where you are today?
Sure, yeah. So my primary business is Thrive Business Marketing, which is our core full digital marketing agency. And then we also have our software company, which we just launched this year called Surge by Thrive, which helps supplement everything. And it's now the platform that our entire agency is sort of built on to manage websites, SEO, ads, social media, everything from. So we've got kind of the two sides there now.
Very cool. So you've got kind of a SaaS side and then I guess the marketing service side of things.
Yep. And it's so important, I think, today because there's so much in that's needed for just automation and for sort of handling all the various different components, from managing your social media to your managing reviews and all those things, that it's gotten so fragmented. So when you have that SaaS side and kind of pull all together, not only does it make our team far more efficient, but it really helps our clients just understand where things are, see things better, and really see kind of the synergy of the different channels.
No, totally. I love that. I mean, I know for us in the accounting industry, there's many times where it's like, I'm using like 11 different tools and I wish I could just have it all into one, that'd be nice. That'd be the perfect world. And maybe someday we'll build our own tool, but for now we're all over the place, right?
That is.
Yeah, unfortunately, but hey, I'm glad that you guys have brought a solution to the market. That's awesome. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later if we get some time. But
That's good.
Scott, would love to dive into your experience a little bit. Kind of what brought you to where you are today? I know there's some history there, but you want to give us kind of a quick overview?
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, I've been doing this now half my life. So, 25, 26 years. And really it started off, back in 99. I was working 3 jobs. I was trying to go to night school to finish a college degree. I was trying to figure out there's got to be something different to do. And I started building websites on Front Page back in the day. I don't think that exists anymore, but I had some affiliate programs. I was just trying to find a way to like make money online. And in doing that, I had to learn SEO, which wasn't really even a term back then, but I had to learn how to show up organically. I had to learn how to run ads, which was at the time it was on like GoTo and Yahoo, I think, were like the big,
Yeah, Yahoo is the big one, right? Yeah.
And back in the day, I always loved telling the story. I will go too far off track here, but I always love telling the story that, nowadays, a click costs, I think the average is $2 to $3 on like Google ads. Back then it was, the average that we were getting was 10 clicks for a penny. So for $1, you'd get about 1,000 clicks. And now that's going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 for that. So you think about just the excessiveness that it has changed and grown, over time. But it was nothing back then. If you had a few dollars, you could get all kinds of traffic. So that really aged me. But that's how I had. And then something popped up. I had been doing it for, I don't know, maybe 6 months to a year, dabbling. I was starting to make a little money here and there. And then I saw a job opening for an agency here in town, a web agency. It was looking for a search guru is what they were calling it. Again, like I said, SEO didn't really exist as a term. So I went and interviewed, and that's exactly what they were looking for. They were trying to find somebody who understood how to get websites on Google in both paid and organic. I think there were something like 30 applicants, and I was the only one who actually had ever done it or actually knew what it was. Because again, it was back then. It was such in the beginning. I think there were only a handful of us that really were doing it back then. So pretty much hired on the spot and that started everything. That was my in to the agency world, and pretty much from there is a whole trend of in-house and agency and traveling around, giving presentations at conferences and this and that, and then that led me into building Thrive. So
That's super cool.
probably wasn't nearly as quick as you wanted it to be, but
No, like I love talking with experienced marketers because there's many people in the industry are just getting started. You know, they're maybe 5-year veterans or 10-year veterans, and it's always really cool to talk with people who have been doing it for longer than that because you have so much more experience and I would say perspective into what's been going on in the industry, and I think that it provides so much insight and for the future as well, right? Because you've been through this, and you know, like, hey, this is probably what's going to come, and so no, I love that. It's really cool. What point did you start Thrive? Was that kind of a couple of years after you're working for this agency, or when was that?
so no, it actually was. I want to say end of. So there was the crash. What was that? 2007. I think the market
Mhm.
crashed, and it was shortly after that because what had happened in my trail of things, and going and presenting and doing things, I was getting fair amount of attention and starting to have kind of headhunters coming at me. And so I ended up, after a couple of different things, I ended up working for an internal company of PPG. So PPG is a huge global conglomerate, and they have multiple business units, and I was within one of those business units, and it happened to be in the automotive industry and glass. It's kind of weird. It was automotive, glass, auto glass, and that sort, but it was primarily automotive. And automotive was one of the hardest hit industries when the crash happened. Or I don't know if it was hardest hit or the soonest hit. I'm not sure which, but it was hit hard. And my pretty much myself and my whole team, save I think one, were all laid off, kind of like on the spot. Again, whole history of I've had so many jobs in my life. I that's a story for another day, but I had never lost a job, never been fired, never been laid off, never. It was always my own decision to leave a job. That was horrendous to be, taken in an office and hey, we're gonna have to let everybody go because there's like no money here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that's actually how my wife had been saying for a while anyway. You should do this on your own. You should start your own business. And I'm like, yeah, it's too scary. I need that paycheck, whatever. Well, when you're kind of booted out of the office and now you have no income, like there's no better time, right? And actually, it wasn't just that. It was I then tried to get another job, but with the market, I was gonna have to take like a 50% pay cut, pretty much anywhere, even top level positions. It was horrendous. So that is more like I was kind of thrust into, hey, if I was ever gonna start something, this is the time to do it. Or why not?
Yeah.
So that's actually how I got into it. One of those things that it was horrible at the time, but it's fantastic that it happened to me because it got me where I am today.
I love that opportunity called and you answered back, right? And you're like, let's do this.
But hey, yeah, it
Yeah.
was the best decision ever. So
I love that. Now, of course, I mean, obviously, starting a marketing firm in a recession, probably not the best idea. It wasn't probably the easiest thing to do. But what were some of the challenges, I guess, that you were facing kind of in the early stages of Thrive?
well, I would say a couple. I mean, the first was getting clients. Again, because of the way it happened, I would advise to somebody, hey, if you're in the agency world and you're building experience, start building up a contact list so that if you want to move out on your own, you can maybe have some, business at the ready. I, it was so unexpected for me. I was kind of like, okay, now what do I do? Thankfully, I had met a lot of people over the years, going to all the conferences and whatnot. So I started emailing, and I actually created a kind of it was meant to be sort of a funny story that I decided to hop on social media. I created the story around. I think I positioned myself as the CEO or something like that. CEO living under a bridge with their family, and it was this daily like comedic kind of journal of my family living under a bridge because I had no income. And I can't, it was so long ago now, I can't even remember all the details, but I just remember it being kind of like that. Every day I wrote a new part of the story, and it got attention, and my colleagues started sharing it, and it didn't take more than about a week and a half of this daily journaling to this kind of comedic story that I landed a first client from it. And then pretty quickly after that, I got another one and another one. So getting the clients was the hardest part. I think being creative in that helped a lot, but also I think some luck it helped in getting them. From there, I would say the challenges were I usually had a team. So now I was kind of a consultant starting on my own. I couldn't really say I was a full service agency. It was just me. But I was trying to take on whatever somebody asked. Can you build a website? Sure.
Yeah.
How about SEO? At least SEO and ads I knew. But it was like, can you manage social media? I'm sure I can figure it out. So I just kind of like say yes to everything and then figure out how to do it. That was definitely challenging in those early days.
Yeah, I love that. It's a good mentality to have though, especially early on, is like, yes, I can try this. I can figure it out, right? And luckily we have so many more tools available to us, and we can figure it out. YouTube, like I've learned so much from YouTube about so many things, right?
Exactly. It's probably a lot easier today to actually be able to just say yes and figure it out because, yeah, the resources are plentiful. So,
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm excited to jump into kind of, I guess, our topic today. Um, for everybody listening, we're going to talk a little bit about the changing landscape of SEO. And just to start us off, kind of high level, Scott, if you want to give us what are kind of some of your observations on search over the last 25 years or so? Like, how has it changed? How has it evolved? Obviously, there's a lot that's happened there, but if you just want to give us some high level observations.
yeah, I would say, possibly the most interesting is, or not the most interesting, an interesting aspect is that Google in all those years kind of never um, lost market share. And some would argue this, but people would say, oh, are you on DuckDuckGo? Are you trying out the new Yahoo or Bing or this or that? And it's like no matter what came about, and the news would be, oh, this is going to take on Google, take on the beast or whatever. Never really did anything. Like Google was still the one to always, focus on, even though the others would do little bits, and there's some benefits to it. Um, Search behavior or how people search has definitely changed. I think back in the day when we were first doing SEO, well, I should say when I was first doing SEO, kind of before I got into agency world, it literally was like put keywords down at the bottom of a page, like keyword stuffing, whatever.
Yeah.
And it actually worked. It was kind of ridiculous and weird. As I got into the agency side, it got a little bit more sophisticated, but it still was a lot of just using a keyword a lot to show up. Um, and the whole reason was because people would put in 1 or 2 word searches, right? Their search queries were very archaic.
Mhm.
You're looking for a mechanic and somebody might put, I'm in Gresham, Oregon, for instance. I might say mechanic Gresham or something like that. It's just very basic. And
Mhm.
so how we would optimize a site would be for that type of terminology. It was just very, very one-to-one, I would say, keyword
Right.
matching. That has absolutely changed. Not only are people using more long tail search queries now, but Google has completely changed in it's not just a keyword match, it's intent. Google's
Right.
taking all of your search history and then also what you're searching to decide what you're probably looking for. What's the actual intent of your search query? And then everybody's, this will move us into AI and everything else, but the NLP or natural language processing, which really has more to do with people are typing in full string questions now. And that because it's the same way of like voice. If you say, hey, Siri, and you are asking a question, that's NLP. And so that's completely changed not only how people are searching, but how Google primarily, well, and AI engines now, how
Mhm.
they're looking at websites and how you're using the content and the way you're using search terms and search phrases in the content. That's drastically changed. But the odd thing to me about that is I want to say most of that change has just been in like the last 3 years or something. I'm bad with time. Time is like completely irrelevant to me, but that's how it feels. It feels like if I were to take the 25 years that I've been doing SEO, it feels like 20 of that was all pretty much kind of the same stuff. And then just all of a sudden in like the last 3 to 5 years, everything's just been kind of rapidly changing.
I agree with you. As you were saying that, I was remembering, not even maybe a little over 5 years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago, you would search something in Google and you had to like word your search in a certain way to get what you wanted, right? Like you couldn't ask questions. You had to be like, okay, I want this. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Okay, and you keep searching, right? But like just this morning, I just like typed a question into Google and it gave me exactly the answer that I was looking for. And it wasn't even like it was a question, right? I got an AI overview and I got everything else and it's completely changed the results that we get, but also you're saying like what people are searching and how they search has changed dramatically. Even recently.
Mhm. Absolutely. In fact, I feel like that's what something that AI, even just in these last 6 to 12 months, it's dramatically amplified this change. I think it's
Mm.
never been more true than it is now. People are asking more questions and whatnot, and realizing that you don't have to kind of redo your search 3 or 4 times to hit the
Yeah.
keyword right, because you can use long tail search in a far better way. And now with the AI summaries and other things that are popping in, you're getting far better results. At least I think so.
Yeah, 100% agree. Do you think Google will be still the dominant search engine in the next decade? Or do you think one of these AI tools or AI, language models are going to come around and change that?
So I will say, from the things that I've been reading over the last several months and kind of watching, I feel like AI search is the first thing in 20 years or whatever to start taking market share away from Google.
Mm.
Um, and that's kind of where I was going earlier when I was saying that too, is like Google was dominant, and no matter what would come about, it was like, nah, it's still just all Google. Nobody could really, chip away at that beast. I think we're actually finally seeing that happen because of AI.
Mm.
Now, that being said, Google obviously is quickly, grabbing onto all of it as well, and buying up fancy engineers and, and whatever to make sure their AI, is coming along quickly and going to be the best. So I feel like, though AI has sort of chipped away a little bit at Google, I wouldn't be surprised if Google just bounces right back and takes it back. Although you said in the next decade, man, that's a hard one. I mean, I think where technology has always been, if tech is a year old, it's old, Um, AI is almost like if it's a month old, it's old. So now I don't even know. I don't know how you project more than a year out. So 10 years, man, AI could completely change the game. And who knows, it could be like, Yahoo was the ultimate beast 25 years ago or whatever. And now, I mean, they barely exist. I don't know. I don't, in my world, they barely exist. Could Google be that next beast that falls? I don't know. It's hard to imagine, but who knows?
That's a good perspective though. I think sometimes we forget that the time frames are shorter and faster now. It's quicker, right? We think about like just like gathering users, for example, like Google's first million users took, X number of years, and then Facebook's first million users took X number of years. And then you look at TikTok, which has, been around recently, they got their first million users in like 2 weeks, right? So the time frame are shorter and quicker now, and that's gonna continue as far as pace goes into the future. So who knows what the next decade will look like? It's all exciting stuff, right? How do you so we're talking a little bit about AI and kind of how AI is affecting search and that sort of thing. How do you think there's a lot of AI tools out there. How do you think that has changed the way that businesses approach SEO? Just kind of bringing it back to SEO a little bit,
Well,
whether that's content or whatever, right?
yeah, this is something I'm monitoring this very closely right now for some very personal business reasons. As we're watching things change, for instance, like we've lost a couple of clients. They're small clients, but they're small enough where they're like, hey, with AI, we think that, so and so who works the front desk has extra time on their hands, and we think they can use AI to do our SEO now or whatever.
Hmm.
And so those are one of those things where you're like, okay, I mean, if you're that type of business where you want to go figure it out anyway, then, go for it. There are more resources now than ever. So have at it. I think though, that's what we're seeing is there's a lot of people are like, hey, with AI now, we don't need an agency, or we don't need this service or that service. We can do it all on our own with AI. The
Yeah.
challenge
Mhm.
right now, AI is chaos. I mean, there's new tools coming out every day. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if this happens to you, but like I try to pay attention to a lot of this. So when I'm on Facebook, for instance, I'll click on something to see what it is they're saying. Well, then of course now I'm going to get 50 other ones pop up because the algorithm's like, oh, we're just interested in this. But what that shows me is, oh my gosh, we're just being flooded with new AI tools popping out every day that can supposedly manage your ads or build your website or do your SEO or this or that and every other thing, under the sun. But it's creating chaos. People like don't know, well, which one should I use? And I got to pay for this one and pay for that one. And they're paying all these subscriptions to different tools. And are they working or aren't they?
Yeah.
Thing is, what I think is going to happen is we're in this massive chaos right now because it's the new shiny object. And it's actually so. It's a beautiful, crazy, shiny object. Scary too. But we're, we're going to see this chaos for a bit. Everybody's trying stuff out and it's creating kind of volatility. I think there's then going to be some backstepping where, first of all, a lot of the little ones are going to disappear. A lot of the noise will start to fade away. But I think a lot of those like small businesses, like I was talking about, trying to do it on their own, some will succeed. I think some are going to be like, this is too confusing. I mean, first of all, you've got to understand AI. You've got to understand what you're using AI for. So let's say running Google ads. You've got to understand Google ads, I think, before you can tell an AI tool what to do with it. Then you got to know how to set it up. You got to know how to tell it what to do. You got to know how to set the boundaries and various things for the AI tools. Then you got to monitor it, make sure it's right, because there's a lot of errors in AI. It's not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's creating a lot of problems as well as solutions. And I think that backstepping is going to happen to where the AI is definitely going to stick around. A lot of the noise will go away. But I think, anyway, it's going to be more like a great tool to use in your toolbox as long as you know how to actually use it correctly. That's my hope. And I hope the chaos goes away soon because I'm frankly getting sick of it.
I think noisy is, like you said, is a fantastic description of the market now. I feel like everybody and their dog has AI something implemented into every tool, every business, every whatever, even if it's not actually, artificial intelligence, if it's like, even if it's just like what we used to call, just software, or we used to call machine learning or something, we're now just labeling it as AI, right?
Yeah, I wish I could remember what it was. The other day I saw a commercial on TV and it's the tagline was something like, now with AI baked in. And I remember looking at it because it made me stop and turn and look. 'Cause I'm like, it wasn't even like a tech product. It was something weird where I was like, okay, you're only using AI because it's the new catchphrase and you want to grab somebody's attention. And that's the problem. I'm personally so sick of hearing AI. Like, I'm going to go crazy because it's all the rage. So
Yeah.
we'll see how
No.
it goes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But like you said, I mean, there's some scary aspects to AI too, of course, right? But well, hopefully, I'm of the opinion and hope that it'll turn, like you're saying, to a tool that people will learn to use, and it hopefully won't cause any other issues beyond that. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm a big sci-fi fan, so we'll see. There's all the end of the world scenarios that I'm trying to avoid here, but
It could just be coincidental, but I'm just saying Terminator has been on cable a lot lately. So
yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But let's kind of we're talking about noise, right? And I think one of the biggest ways that I've seen a lot of noise around AI is with content. And I see so much AI generated content. Do you think that hurts or helps a business or their SEO ranking, when they use or utilize, AI generated content? What are your opinions on that?
yeah, I think it can. This is again comes into it being a tool, right? I
Right.
think AI can be great. Let it draft. Even I think even back in the day of going to college and having to write a paper, some of the things I hated the most was actually creating the outline
Mhm.
and doing kind of the initial drafts because you really have to. That's in my opinion, that's where writer's block would come in. Like I'm not even sure where to go with this. Well, I tell you what, I love AI for that. You give it a topic and you're like, all right, give me an outline and give me 5 topics to cover or whatnot. And boom, boom, boom. And of course, you don't have to use it. You can say, well, I like these. I don't want those. But I find it fantastic in that kind of a way. And then when it comes to content creation itself, it's all over the board. There are some AI tools. Again, this goes back to how to use it correctly. If you know how to write the prompts correctly, you can get some fantastic content. Um, if you don't know the prompts and you don't know how to do it correctly, you're going to get crap, in my opinion. And not crap, but it's going to be very AI generated.
The M dash, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are a lot of prompts. I mean, the prompt screen that I have is getting lengthier and lengthier to get things to be exactly how I want it. Then, though, you still have to go through it. You've still got to read the thing. Take those few minutes or whatever to go through it, change it, edit it, move things around, put your own voice into it. You want content, in my opinion, to be what you're wanting to put forth. I think a lot of people will disagree. In fact, I know I've got a lot of clients who would say, I don't care what it is. I just want it to, get me leads or whatever.
Right.
That's unfortunate because I think a lot of people feel that way, and we're going to have a lot of AI generated junk out there. We already do. But again, I think if you use it as a tool, if you do it correctly, and then if you put some human element into that final draft to make sure it is what you want it to be, I don't see any problem with it. I'm still kind of up in the air about SEO. We have had quite a bit of content do quite well. But we've had a lot of content also that is AI generated. In fact, on my Thrive website blog, we have one. The author actually says AI something in there. It's a test. We're putting completely 100% AI generated content on that. I want to say a couple times a week, and then monitoring. Most of that content gets no attention from Google. So there's this test of when you do it, where you use it as a tool, you create really nice content. I've got one client in mind that's a auto parts store, national auto parts store. Content we create for them, which is initially generated by AI, and then our human SEO people read through it and tweak it and add links and stuff that we want in there. That stuff is getting grabbed up by Google like nobody's business, and it's doing great, and it's driving sales. So again, it's not all black and white. There's somewhere in the middle if you do it right.
I love that. What do you think then? So just kind of for those who are listening, who are maybe, again, kind of lost in this noise and there's a lot going on, what do you think are some of the best practices that somebody could follow with AI around SEO, whether that's for content or some of the other SEO AI tools out there?
So again, it kind of goes back to AI. We already use tools on websites, right? So when we have like a WordPress website, we might use Yoast or All-in-One SEO or Rank Math. There's a handful of tools that really, really do well at assisting with your on-page SEO. They've been around a lot longer than AI, but they've always sort of used AI to some degree. It's scanning your content, it's looking at your links, it's looking at your pages, and then it's giving you recommendations on what to fix. In my opinion, those tools will continue to be very important. And with new AI tech kind of baked into them a little bit as well, they're even better. But I think that's kind of the best practice. Again, using it as a tool. There are some tools out there right now, and we have been testing a couple of them, excuse me, that are supposed to be pretty much, you don't touch anything. You give it the website and it just goes and does it. And actually, we're testing them out of our own concern. Like, we're an SEO agency. Oh, we do SEO. So is this going to put us out of business? So far, they don't do that well. They do some things okay, but again, it's just like every other piece we have found so far with AI. You cannot just set it and forget it. You've got to use it as one of your tools in your toolbox, and then it might be beneficial. So I think a best practice, no matter how you're using it, is see it that way. Don't think kind of like, what is it, the make money quick schemes or whatever. It's going to click a button and, I don't have to do anything anymore. It's not like that. It's a great tool. Use it as that.
No, I think that's insightful. I mean, we see that in the accounting industry as well, where, we've got AI tools that are starting to come out and we're testing them out and trying them. And, they're a little bit lacking from what we would like, to see in a tool. And maybe they'll be better in the coming years. We'll see what happens, right? But at this point, it doesn't completely replace what you actually need to happen. And in fact, sometimes causes bigger issues, right? If you did,
Yes. And I feel like they overpromise a lot of them. Yeah, hey, we'll
Right.
do everything. Like you might be trying an accounting one that's like, we'll take care of everything for you, and then you put it in play, and that's not nearly what was promised.
Right. Yeah.
Or
Like, "Ooh, there's a couple mistakes here we gotta fix, otherwise we're gonna get in trouble." Yeah, stuff like that.
exactly.
Well, that segues us really nicely then into, I guess, just overall, what do you think is from an SEO strategy perspective, what do you think is still gonna work moving forward, and what do you think is gonna become obsolete?
So, this is something that, at least as the basis of SEO, I don't think has changed at all over the decades, and that's content. We're going to have to continue to have new, fresh content. If you have a 10-page website, it's the same 10-page website you've had for years. So I mean, you're just not going to get very far unless there's that other side of SEO, which is links, unless you're getting, links from, Nike.com or whatever it might be, some
Yeah.
powerful links. You're still going to have to rely on content. How you write the content is definitely different. Not only do you want to be found by Google and show up in Google Organic, but now you want to be found by AI engines as well. So there are new ways. This is definitely a change. You have to use NLP in how you're structuring content. You've got to look at things like schema markup. There are citations when you're writing. Do a lot of FAQ style content. Don't just question and answer, but
Mhm.
question, answer, citation. The more you can back up what you're saying with citations
Mm.
and with kind of proof concepts or whatever, the better you'll show up in AI searches, and the better you'll show up at the top in Google's AI summary as well. So,
Right.
but it all comes back to that base of content, new, fresh content. Think about writing new content. I mean, daily if you can, or at least weekly, but you've
Mhm.
got to keep things fresh. That's going to be important for SEO. I also think links will continue to be important, but for instance, at Thrive, we've never been big on quote unquote link building, where you're actually calling up companies or whatever and saying, hey, can you put a link on your website? uh, it's always been way too big of a lift for not good enough results to do something like that. However, local citation style links have still proven quite valuable, especially for our local clients. Um, so again, those are a couple of those things, like they just really haven't changed much over the years. But I would absolutely tell everybody, focus on content, new, fresh uh, content that has value. Don't just throw up 500-word blog posts that are summaries. Think more in depth, valuable, educational type content.
Long form content. No, I love that. That's fantastic. Um, Scott, we're getting a little close to time here, but just to wrap it up, I'd love to get your thoughts on trends. Like, what do you think is going to happen to the future of search? Like, you got AI overview, voice search, stuff like that. What do you kind of see as something people need to watch out for in the next year or two?
I think probably just to summarize some of what I've been saying with the AI components and content, I think that's going to be, I think how AI is built into search will continue to build. It's going to build on it, but then it also comes back to it used to be you could track, okay, did I show up in the first three positions organically? Did I get a click to my website? That part is a lot of what we're already seeing, and what is going to continue to change as well is more people are going to find their information on the search result page, not clicking through to your website. So
Mm.
showing up in that AI summary is going to be key. We absolutely have to focus not just on traditional SEO, but we're calling it AIO. I think others are too. I don't know if it's going to take on as the industry term, but SEO and AIO. You've got to focus on showing up in those AI search queries, because we are going to see traffic to your websites coming down. But if you're still showing up in AI, they're still finding you. The other
Mm.
side is we do a lot of paid ads as well. And I don't like this part, but I think it might I think it might be true. I think we're going to continue to see more and more probably going to have to get into the Google Ads
Mm.
realm, because of AI, because of SEO, because of the way organic is working. I'm never going to say don't do it. I still feel like the whole organic side has always got to be a base, but
Mhm.
I think if you can also do some paid ads and make sure you're showing up, nearer the top, we're going to do better. So I do think more of our clients are going to have to start putting some budget towards ads to make sure they're still showing up at the top of search.
Scott, this has been a fantastic discussion. I mean, there's been a lot that I think has been really valuable that we've been able to unpack, and hopefully for those listening that this has been super helpful, and you're aware of kind of some of the things you need to watch out for. So, Scott, if people want to get a hold of you, where can they find you?
Well, we've got the two websites. We've got thrivesearch.com and then also surgebythrive.com. Yeah, we have contact forms and everything else on there. But if you want to just grab me direct, you can always find me on LinkedIn. My handle is just Scott Orth, so I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. And I'm on there pretty much every day. So it's probably the easiest way to get me directly.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Scott. It's been great having you on the show.
All right, thanks. It's been fun.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of The Founders Corner, the podcast series for marketing firms and agencies looking to learn and level up their business. You can check out more podcasts and other content from OneBridge Accounting by following the links in the show notes. At OneBridge Accounting, we're all about helping marketing and creative firms organize their finances, maximize their profits, save cash, and automate their accounting and finance functions. Check out our other resources and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.